Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Mantra, slave songs, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I hide, my ancestors speak. They tell me the tide isn't front on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak. Until they think we are equal, please. All I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their bones would bleed, begging the generations remember our story.
Peace and blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Hope all is well. Thank you for being in attendance this Monday. It is officially December the 1st. 2026 is right around the corner. And I don't know about you, but I've been doing a lot of digging and a lot of reflecting on the past year from January to now. Count my blessings, thinking about just all the in-betweens, the good, the bad. I hope you are in a better space than you were at the beginning of the year. And I want to, first of all, I want to say, if you made it this far, congratulations. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you are still here with us, even with all the odds that's been put against you. You still found the strength to keep on pushing through all the hardships. I got Coach in the building. I got a clip up here that I want to bring to the congregation. Let's jump into it. Good morning, Grand Rising. Buenos dias.
Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I am holding. Last few days have been very interesting, to say the least. Got some bad news. I'm trying to work through that, but I still feel highly favored right now. So I'm just glad to be here this morning, man. What about you?
Nah, hey, doing well, man. Feeling good. Hopefully, make it through the bad news that you heard. Keep your head up, keep pushing forward. Other than that, man, just trying to make it like you said, man. Life be life.
Definitely. It's all about how you kind of maneuver through these different times, man.
Right.
You saw the clip.
Yeah.
I got it here. I found some more information on this. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring this one up. I'm not gonna even go to that other one. I might play it, just for further context with this. But yeah, hold on. Let me bring this up here on the big screen real quick.
Okay.
Don't know how the people are gonna feel about this. I thought this was fucking crazy, man. Red flags all across the board.
Right.
I don't know what you want from me. I know. Can you pull over into there?
I'm gonna say this right. I did a little extra digging. Now I don't know if the gentleman here is currently her husband or not, but this same woman was charged in 2024 for killing two pedestrians while under the influence of while she was driving. I'll bring that one up just for the people. What's your initial thoughts on this right here alone?
Man, how did they get the video? From the angle, it look, that's my initial thoughts is who's recording the video of this? And then, you know, looking at, she doesn't even have a seatbelt on. So it looks reckless to begin with. So it not necessarily sure. He has his seatbelt on. She doesn't have one. So the lack of respect for the young man's vehicle or life for trying to do something like that while he's driving, with her not having a seatbelt on, maybe she has a motive or an objective to possibly harm herself in the vehicle. Not necessarily sure.
I'm sick and tired of people recording everything for social media.
Right.
That's like when you said that, I wasn't even thinking about it. My first thought was, if I was that type of person, I'd probably be going to jail because she reaches over, takes the steering wheel, and then swerve. Just what?
Right.
You ain't have no regard for his life or yours. Who does that? She didn't have no seatbelt on, like you said. Just the way that she was talking throughout the little exchange that they had, she don't respect the dude at all.
Right.
She didn't respect nobody that was on that road. Yeah, I probably would have went to jail.
Yeah, so maybe he had a camera or something up there, maybe to catch her because of the, you know, the maybe the patterns or the lack of respect that she has, like you said, for life and her life period. So maybe, you know, that's probably why the camera was there, was to catch that. But yeah, like you said, for her to grab the wheel like that, jerk, you know, I don't know what they was aiming for, or it looked like they ran over, I don't know, the little parking bumps, or comedian or not necessarily sure, but she definitely has no respect for life, man. Like you just mentioned. And then especially if she got priors, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a pattern there. And I think the lack of respect just for people, period, in this day and age is something that needs to be talked about and addressed, man, because it's just all over the place. Just people being disrespectful and not necessarily valuing life, period.
To have that type of, like, she was very like relaxed.
Yeah.
She didn't seem like she had a care in the world.
Yeah.
It was like she probably used to slapping that man up beside his head or something.
Right.
Like this is just a normal thing for her.
Right.
Ukraine 647 salutes to you. Is this more, in your opinion? We're not going to speak in generalities, but we can. What you saw from her and what you see from him, because there's two different personalities here.
Right.
He doesn't seem like he has much control or say so within that relationship. Is this more frequent than we think it is? Like, do you think that you've noticed this getting better or worse? Like this behavior, this attitude, this dismissive kind of a thing where the dude is just like, he just seems so like defeated, man. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's something that's more prevalent today. Women in such a search, I don't want to say of being empowered, of being in control, having that dominant personality. It's a total disregard for the person on the other side, right? So much of wanting to be in charge and impress on that they have an attitude or mentality where they can be equally just like the men as far as for being dominant, but they don't understand the other aspects of it, the empathy and the sympathy of it. It's just so much of trying to show you I don't give a shit, or I can be just equally as dominant as you can. You see the young man in the video, he's just like, what the hell? What are you doing? Total disregard and respect for his belongings. He said, I just got this car. You know what I mean? And she's like, so who cares? And that in itself is definitely an issue, man. And I think that's the problem, right? It's you want to be in charge and you want to show that you can match energy with energy, but it's a total misunderstanding or just missing the boat when it comes to seeing how you're making the other person feel. And then, men get a bad rep for, you men have been doing this for years or forever. And it's not necessarily that, and it very well may be true, not speaking, again, like you said, in generalities. Some people may have done that, but I think the roles have shifted. You know what I mean? Over the years, that might have been way men had learned from their fathers, to go out and be protectors, because you hear that all the time. Don't take shit from anybody, go out and portray to be a certain way. And I think as men are being educated and they're getting older and they're realizing that might not necessarily be the way to go or to treat people. Or some analogies, you attract more flies with sugar than you do shit. You know what I mean? And you learn that through experience. And I think as we do, as people, we overcorrect and we don't find that balance. And so now you're starting to see the videos because now they're being cheered on and championed. Oh, great job. Women's empowerment, going out there and belittling, the men in the relationships. And I think a lot of men don't know how to react and they don't know how to deal with those situations, because naturally, one thing you're going to do is if you show a little resistance to that personality or to that mindset, it's just typically the narcissistic mindset. that they're going to be labeled as being the victim, right? Now you got men who are suffering in silence, don't necessarily want to speak up or say anything, because now they're going to be labeled as crime wolf, the victim mentality, and just not understanding that you just can't treat people like shit and then expect people to deal with it. You know what I mean? And I think, again, the overcorrection has happened. Again, it's all about balance. Nobody has to prove that they're as tough as nails, but you just have to find that happy medium and then have those conversations.
I agree. It's never been about competing, as far as I'm concerned, especially in a union. We ebb and flow. We in this together. I'm not trying to make you into this person or that person, and you shouldn't be doing that either. But these imbalances, they're so frequent, and it's obvious that we are lying to these men and these women about what matters and what should subsequently be at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of how you're supposed to see value in another human being. These commercials and these platforms and these arenas that are a haven for toxic conversations that don't really go anywhere. You create these simp like, incel like dudes and these entitled adult children in grown women bodies. You're creating problems later on down the road that's going to make it very difficult for people to find any type of union whatsoever, because either the guy is going to be so confused and conflicted with how to deal with this type of a person, because if you come at it a certain type of way, you can go to jail, or you're going to get labeled as a monster, or you're going. So it's like, damn, I can't. You telling me I can't be stoic no more? I can't speak my mind anymore. I can't establish boundaries, and this is my person. I didn't come out of your whatever. I came out of Miss Marie something. You didn't raise me. You telling me I don't have no autonomy over myself? So anybody that's of the opposite gender who meets me with disrespect or any type of crap that is not really conducive to what I'm doing, I'm just supposed to shut the fuck up and then let them just carry on like they do. That's crazy to me. And this is why these conversations need to be brought up more. This video that I'm about to play, I don't have the timestamps. I don't know if this was before that video or if this was after, but I'm gonna tell you, it's the same woman. All right, so it's the same person. I made sure that y'all knew it was the same attitude, same entitled. Oh, I'm a female, so I should be able to just say stupid stuff and get away with doing stupid shit and slap me on the wrist and let me go on about the rest. It's the same person. And I'm gonna bring that up. I use the mic if you want to add anything before I bring this up on the big screen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, great point about the boundaries, right? Is that's something that's missing today is having boundaries, and it's also missing today between parents and kids, because hurt people, and you got a lot of these things. Well, in our age group, people that are raising kids, their kids are more or less like their friends, versus there being established roles and responsibilities. There's no cutoff. You know, some parents are oversharing with kids. They might be oversharing their traumas. And then these kids become adults. And these adults, young adults, have their traumas that they go through. And then they lash out just like their parents would do when they see their parents interact and engage in relationships with a significant other, or just with the person of the opposite gender or the same gender. Just not necessarily learning how to solve problems, but lashing out, or as they say, crashing out. And that's where a lot of the issues are coming from. Is, again, there's no problem solving techniques. You know, it's either, my way or the highway type thing. And then with the disrespect, there's no process of teaching them how to apologize, right? It comes to that accountability piece, identifying that the disrespect was there, and then accountability, not only apologizing, but changing that behavior. Because apologies don't mean shit without changed behavior. You know what I mean? People can say I'm sorry all day long, but again, the apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect, and then the apology needs to show a change in patterns versus continuous or the same patterns.
When you have men and women who have these egos and this pride and this arrogance and this sense of this belongs to me because I say it does, this is what you come up with right here. Hold on. It's about 3 minutes.
Student who killed 2 people and proceeded to complain the whole time of how this could happen to her. 10:16 p.m. Authorities are called to the scene on 2208 Main Street in front of a bar called Full Throttle, literally right in front of a bar. There's been an accident. Right when they get there, they see this Dodge dark car parked in the middle of the road. It's red, and there's pretty substantial damage to the front of it. There's this massive large dent to the front hood. There seems to be what appears to be blood splatter. A girl named Stephanie Melgoza is standing off to the side, and she seems relatively uninjured and honestly not even in a state of shock. The officers approach her and she tells them, I called as soon as this shit happened. I go to Bradley. Why would this shit happen to me? The officer asks her if anyone took her information, and she starts pointing at him. Her finger is pretty close to his chest. Your friend took my license. Your friend took my license. The officer asks her, were you leaving the bar or were you? I was coming here. It's a little strange how comfortable she is right now. The way she's talking to the officers, it reminds me of how someone would talk to their mom. When a mom tells you, why did you do that? And you almost half whine. You told me to. I was doing what you I was coming here. I was coming here.
Were you leaving the bar? Were you coming this down the road?
I was coming here.
Okay.
You know, I had just gotten my night started.
Do you have anything illegal on you? Yes, I have marijuana in my purse.
Oh.
Have you had any marijuana tonight? No?
Is it legal there?
No.
Oh, completely illegal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has her put her purse on the hood of the cop car, and she's still holding some items in her hands. He asks her to put them down, and she says, my vape too? She later asks, I graduated in 4 weeks. Is this going to affect anything? She gets a full pat down before they put her in the backseat of the cop car. And the police, they don't want to ask her more questions right now. Right now, their priority are the 2 people. Because near that red car, that's Stephanie's car, there are 2 people laying covered in blood, dead on the ground near the car. Right there at the scene, there are contorted bodies. Even though her car is red, it's pretty easy to see how much blood has splattered all over the windshield and the front bumper of her car. There is blood quite literally everywhere. There is a woman laying about 30 feet from the red car, which is quite far. But her leg, part of her leg has been completely severed and is attached to the front of Stephanie's vehicle. It's stuck on the front bumper of the car, sticking out the front grille. There's another man laying about 90 feet from the car, and the officers are seen trying to perform CPR on their bodies, but they're not moving. Their bodies are in a really bad state. It's stated that at least both of them had partial leg amputations as well as full body blunt force trauma all over.
And she knew that.
Yeah, she's at the crime scene. She sees this. She sees the 2 people.
Acting completely
She's
unfazed.
I called 911 right when this shit happened. Both Paul and his girlfriend Andrea were found deceased at the scene. This is the case of Stephanie Melgoza, the college.
So you have a clip where she's with her boyfriend in one situation where she's just like, oh, well, I purposely took the wheel and turned it and made you crash where I could have easily killed you, me, and other parties. Then you have another timestamp where this woman is under the influence and she literally kills two adults, a man and a woman. You heard it. It's the same woman, same mindset, same attitude.
She didn't go to jail or anything? You said that was last year?
She got 14 years. But she also had a child and she got married before she got sentenced.
Okay, so it was the first video. Well, so she's in jail now?
She's in jail now.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So what was the first video? How long ago was that one?
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that video was before this accident.
Oh, okay.
Or not, but I'm going to assume that it had to be before this accident.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we keep talking about the patterns, man. Obviously there was a buildup, and in both videos, I can't speak to her state of mind. I can just say what it looks like in the video, and like they said, she does look unfazed. And if the first video was first, like I mentioned, with the no seatbelt, the total disregard, for the young man driving, and her actions, she had no emotion after she swerved the vehicle, and his comments about it being my brand new car, etc. She was emotionless. So the pattern is there. So it looks like something should have been identified along the way. You know what I mean? Because it looks like definitely something was missed. And it should have been, as we keep talking about these red flags, it should have been a flag, raised up saying, hey, look, something's wrong. It's possibly crying out for help. It's all kind of things that we can assume, but it definitely looks like with the lack of emotion and the lack of empathy that she showed, even at the car crash with the two, as they described, the two human remains laying on the ground. That's alarming too. Obviously, she possibly was under the state of some type of drug or alcohol, and then the entitlement in the video, because they was handling her with care. She wasn't in handcuffs. You know what I mean? They wasn't handling her like she was a threat or a harm to anyone. So just the whole process, you can kind of tell that she's probably been handled with a lot of care from some people, and then not necessarily given the attention that she was needing versus receiving.
Exactly. And this is why I said, look, man, y'all be thinking that it's sweet. Like you can just talk to people however you want and treat people however you want because you're accustomed to being treated that way by folks that don't know no better. Like they know that what you're doing is not right, and they'll still enable your behavior. Don't do that. You're not my friend if you enable my behavior.
Right.
Correct me. Tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm out of pocket. But y'all be letting people like that get away with this stuff, and then they go out here living their life like the entire world operates under the same jurisdictions as you do, and now you're doing 14 in jail. The crazy part to me is, why would you procreate with her? Why would you get married to that? Even like after everything that happened, because you had, first of all, if you tell me your past and your history don't matter, it absolutely does. Let me ask you a question. If you never known her before this, you just met her somewhere, and then y'all hit it off, would you still look at her like she's a wife after you done seen these two clips? Would you still walk down the aisle with that person? Would you still?
No, I mean, necessarily, I'm not saying that I would, but somebody out there possibly would. Somebody would look at that. Somebody would look at her as like, you know what, she has potential. She's just making the wrong decisions, and I can probably help her. You know what I mean? Because you got people out there with, and that's an illness as well. You know what I mean? People that want to help everybody. Some people are actually attracted to people like that who has issues. Somebody who necessarily doesn't have a lot of self-esteem, and they have a lot of room for growth, and they look at them as a project. You know what I mean? You know what? She has potential. She won't do that to me. I'll fix that. I'll help her go in this direction. All she needs is a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of, and which is all the wrong shit to say, but people actually think like that. And the problem would be is if they thought that way, procreated with her, and she didn't get any help, then that would be the issue along the way, if that makes sense.
Bro, I was just on IG earlier, and I don't know how and why this is permitted, but 2 women in prison, 2 light-skinned joints in prison, they on IG, they in their prison uniform, whatever, and they saying, "Hi guys," and you go to the comment section, and guess what you find? "Oh, let me put some money on your books. How long you gonna be in prison? I'll wait for you. I'll take charge. What I gotta do to get into the prison where you at? What? What is wrong with y'all, man? Just because they attractive, man. Oh, you can match her crazy. Oh, I like them like that. Yeah, all right. How many men in jail right now because they like them like that? Or in the ground because they like them like that?
Yeah, like you said, man, matching that energy. You know what I mean? Power couple in all the wrong sense. You know what I mean? I put money on your books, you get out. And what they call themselves now, baddies or some shit like that. You know, we can build together. They got the hustler mindset. They just been hustling, you know, on the wrong path because they got that energy. Now they got to do is if I get them with me and we can hustle together, you know what I mean? Maybe get some properties and, you know, build and do stuff like that. But that ain't necessarily the case because I can't speak and say that everybody, you know, is in there because we just talking about the virtual pen pals now. So can't say everybody's in jail for, you know, for bad reasons or whatever the case may be. But that's the shit that's cool, man. It's polarized in our community, man. You know what I mean? It's jail, going to jail, how much time you did in jail. You know what I mean? And if that's polarized and that's what we're attracted to, then now you got a whole jail full of women that you're attracted to that can be online. You know, like you said, see them on IG, they posting pictures. They got the squat down, you know, got them little thin scrubs on, and got the pose, looking appealing, and you know, you're a product of your environment. So now you just it's easy pickings. You know what I mean? You know, if you don't want somebody who's in corporate or you don't want somebody who's in sports or whatever the case may be, that's the similar lifestyle that you got. Now you're going VFR direct straight to, you know, OnlyFans in jail or whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's just making it more accessible.
I call it the poor man's mindset. Like, because it's like you're preying on people who are weak or broken because you get easier access to something that you would otherwise have to work for if the person was fully functional and they didn't think everything was poverty stricken. Like they didn't spend like that was their last, or they didn't invest into people just solely for what they could get out of them financially. Nobody that is operating on all of their faculties is going after somebody who is a repeated offender, or they have the capabilities of doing harm to you just because your phone was turned upside down at dinner. You get a text message and they can't see it, or they don't have your password. The only reason I brought that up is because the woman in the clip, she has this, I've been this way since birth. How dare you talk to me or try to correct me? I've always been like this. Nobody said anything before. So who are you to say something to me now? And a lot of people think that way. And that's what gets folks in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. It's like you said, and that's the number one thing, man. Being a prisoner in your own mind, and I think that's the most frustrating thing to hear somebody say. And you hear it a lot when you travel, especially in the military, because most of the folks in the military leave home. They leave home for a reason. You know, you ain't in the best environments. You're not in the best situations. I'm gonna say everybody, but for the most part, I mean, you look at where a lot of the recruiting stations at. You know what I mean? Depending on which branch, they're in some of the shittiest parts of towns. So that means they're targeting some of the people that don't have the most options and the most availability to them. And then you take those people and you relocate them all around the world, and then you'll hear people say, "Oh, I'm from somewhere," whether it's the East Coast, you know, I'm from the South, the Midwest, the West Coast, and those people hold on to that shit like it's a badge of honor. They'll be gone for 20 years or 24 years, and they'll still be talking about, "I'm from someplace, somewhere." Why the hell are you talking about that? You haven't lived there in over 20-something years. You haven't been there in over 20-something years. This goes the same for college. People that are in college, they travel, you know, same prison mindset is they're holding on to where they come from, or they're the toughest person that where they're from, and nobody knows you. So you can tell whatever story you want. You can create whatever identity that you want because people don't know you and you're in a new environment. But you're still clinging on to old things that you might have done 20 years ago. Well, that's just the way I am, which is bullshit. That's the mindset that you want to hold on to because you don't want to change, right? People say that's the way I was. I've always been that way. Well, you think you've always been that way. You're just holding on to those memories that you have from 20 years ago, that nostalgia. But in actuality, you changed. You aren't that person. But your mindset might still be that of a 12, 13, 14-year-old. So the body, everything's aging, everything's growing except the mindset. People don't want to change because they still holding on to who they thought they were, you know, X amount of years later, years ago, when it might have been as flourishing. And like you said, now you don't want to identify that you have changed or that you need to change. So you find people who think like you. And now you all sit around and reminisce on shit from 15, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the old college or the old high school athlete who used to be the man, you know, back in school, still wearing a Letterman jacket or some shit and still looking for the recognition, you know, male, female, might have been, you know, the cheerleader or the quarterback. And they were really popular back then because you think about it, they had the mindset where everybody was kissing their ass and telling them they were great or they were good at something. And then if they don't actually make it to that level that they wanted to, those are the things that they're holding on to. The thoughts when people told them they were great. The thoughts when people told them they were outstanding at whatever field that they were in. And not realizing that, you know, you have to grow and you have to better yourself. And those are the things that it comes with reflection. It comes with being, you know, being held accountable, looking in that mirror. And like you said, if you have somebody around you who's constantly telling you you're doing great, knowing damn well you're not doing good, those are the things that it's kind of hard for you to acknowledge because you're relying on people around you to give you feedback or input, and they aren't giving it to you to better yourself, but just to your own detriment. So
whoever this dude is that she was involved with, there's a pattern that needs to be broken. Because if she's doing it, I know that somebody from your past did it too. You know how you can tell? Because of how he reacted. It was like, oh, here we go again. Men like that, you are a part of the problem because you don't get involved with people if you don't have your stuff in order. And it doesn't mean that you have a Fortune 500 company. It doesn't mean that you own 5 apartment complexes. But you know yourself. You know your walk. You trust in your abilities. You're confident in the things that you speak about. You're knowledgeable. You're not easily swayed by secular things. You have boundaries and you stand on your boundaries and your principles, and you don't bend them to conform with somebody else. If they want to be a part of your program, cool. If you want to blend in with them, cool, but they respect what you got going on as well. They don't talk to you the way that she speaks to you. There's just this unwritten language between folks that understand what respect is supposed to reflect and how you're supposed to treat other human beings. And she don't get the memo. Women like her don't get the memo. They'll come on these comments and they'll say, oh, you hate men, you hate women, or you're gay and you're sassy. Why am I sassy? Don't call me a nigger. I'm not a nigger. I'm a African American man. I'm a grown adult male. I'm not the N-word. I don't dress like one. I don't talk like one. I don't do business like one. I don't even believe in the toxic culture that y'all try to emulate on a regular basis. That's not something that I identify with. I have respect for my elders. I still believe in holding the door open for people. I still believe in waving at folks and being kind and polite. And I don't, there's just things that I carry with me that I demand my respect as well as you would. Do not talk to me like I'm at the bottom of your shoes. You have to have that type of attitude in everything that you do. You give what you get. But I don't know, man. Slim was tripping. She definitely deserved that 14. Matter of fact, she should be getting more than that. That's something else that I didn't even address. 14 years, you killed 2 people under the influence. They found the vape, they found the weed on her, and she was leaving the bar. She was going 95 in a 25. 14 years is nowhere near enough. That alone to me is privilege. But I'm gonna stop right there.
yeah, I'll just say, because we was talking about the young man and identifying that stuff. So it's obviously a certain place he's probably met her. what I would say is we just got to change up our environments. You know, not sure where people are meeting people these days, or if they are even meeting people in the real world or just online. But yeah, identifying when somebody doesn't give you respect, and then changing your environment. You know, go out there and do some things that you probably wouldn't do. Maybe go out there to your local Rotary Club or Chamber of Commerce and start to surround yourself around people that do things different than you do, and learn how to appreciate things more. You got to learn how, again, know the value within yourself. Identify when somebody's not treating you the way you feel like you should be treated. And then, make a conscious decision to change your environment. I think that's the biggest issue. The biggest takeaway is, sitting within that cesspool of negativity, man. You see things, like if in that situation, when she grabbed the steering wheel and he ran over whatever it was that he ran over, and identifying that you just bought the vehicle and she didn't respect your vehicle or you, I mean, that's a red flag. So it's what you do afterwards that matters. Like you said, you got to break that pattern. So change your environment, change the type of people that you're around. Identify that, and then get the heck up out of there. Take care of yourself. And all you can do is advise somebody to get some help and try to reflect and work on themselves. And if that's not something that they're interested in doing, take care of yourself and take care of your mental health and get the heck up out of there.
Yeah. So I don't know what year, but a bulb went off my head. I'm like, hold up, why do I keep on finding myself dealing with the same type of person over and over and over again? What am I doing wrong? I'm not looking at them no more. I'm like this. All right, it's something clearly wrong with me. Something I'm not doing or something I'm doing that keeps on getting in this carousel. Let me go ahead and slow down. So I go into that dry season. I don't have nobody around me. I'm not on the phone with 5 different people. I'm not chasing after nothing. I'm not doing none of that. I'm just alone with my thoughts and my process. And then I come to the conclusion that there are things that I didn't address that I should have addressed, that I didn't even know was a significant part of why I was so attracted to this. So once you start to really deal with them uncomfortable realities, then and only then will you begin to treat yourself better. Because in all actuality, I could point the finger at them, but truth be told, I'm disrespecting myself. I'm not taking care of myself properly. And a lot of us don't do it.
Right. Like Michael Jackson said, you got to start with the man in the mirror. You know what I mean? You can go around blaming people all day long, but like you said, man, great point. Is you keep putting yourself in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Identifying that pattern, that trend is, okay, you like a certain type or you like to be around a certain type. And once you figure that part out, it goes even deeper than that, because, they always talk about men. You end up dating women that are kind of similar to their mother. And then women always end up dating men that are similar to their fathers. You know what I mean? That characteristics and that likability. And which is nothing wrong with that, but at the end of the day, you got to figure out what's good for you as a person. A lot of people base these TV shows on relationships, and you can't do that. You got to figure out what you actually like. And for me, that's where it helps with me, man, with doing the DISC assessments and doing personality assessments. It's almost like a great nomenclature to have, because you actually once you figure out who you are and how you like to be communicated with, and then it's like doing an elevator pitch. You meet somebody and you're able to tell them, you know, this is the way I kind of like to be communicated with. You know, I like to laugh. I like to be, you know, lighthearted. I like for you to be direct. I don't necessarily like for people to beat around the bush. And once you explain that to somebody, they can make the decision whether or not if you're actually a fit for them. And so again, it starts with knowing yourself first. And then what's another beneficial tool is you can have them also take a personality assessment. And then they might not know who they are. They might not really know why they like being communicated with the way they do. And so that's something that you both can share. And then you can start from there and say, you know, this either works or doesn't work. But it's other ways of going out there other than just physical attraction. And that shit fades after a while. You know what I mean? Because if you got a shitty personality and you don't know how to communicate, then I'm no longer looking at you as you're attractive. I'm looking at you like, man, you don't necessarily know how to, you could lead yourself out of a wet paper bag. I'm not attracted to that. You can't talk to somebody and hold an educated conversation for more than 18 seconds. I'm not attracted to that. So it's a lot of things that people look past. You might like the silhouette or the way somebody looks, you know, you might like the intangibles of they got long, pretty hair, whatever it is that you like physically. But the emotional aspect and the things that really matter is you don't know how to communicate. And if we have an altercation, your natural reaction, like you mentioned earlier, is to run versus handle the issue, because that's something that you got from your mother or your father. Is every time they got into a situation, they just picked up their shit and left. Then that's something you have to figure out if you want to deal with, because that doesn't work for everybody. Here it is, we come to our first real altercation or problem, and you packing your shit and you leaving. Where are you going? Like you just said. So now you're bringing traumas from another relationship into this relationship. If somebody tells you, hey, look, I don't really like it when you pull my chair out, that ain't manly to me. I want to pull my own chair out. And like you said, hey, I still the cloth that I like to open doors for people. I still like to show customs and courtesies to people. And that's the way you show affection. But you got somebody who's saying, I'm independent. I don't need that shit. I can do it all on my own. Hey, man, that's the indicator that this probably ain't going to be a good relationship. Because I'm trying to show you emotion. I'm trying to show you, you know, how I care for you and how I want to nurture you. And you sitting here talking about, I can do my own thing. But now we got two A-type personalities or two people who want to be, you know, independent, no codependency in a relationship. Well, that's something that you can either figure out. We can find a way to, again, here comes that word balance again. We can figure out how to get balance in a relationship, or you just want somebody to take care of you and you want to play the dancer when the stress goes on. That shit ain't, you know, might not be attractive to you either. I don't want somebody who always wants somebody to do something for them. You got to show independent. You got to get things on your own. And again, those are about having those hard conversations in the beginning of the relationship. Just like when you go to a job interview, they say, why do you fit for this job? You might have been doing it for 18 to 20 years, but you got your way of doing it. And we do things differently. You're going to give and take. You know what I'm saying? They're going to balance. You're going to flex a little bit. You're going to know when to ease off the throttle. There's different intangibles that comes with those relationships. And if you don't have those conversations, then you won't be able to get to those points.
Real talk. Shout out to our comment in the building. Yeah, we'd save each other a lot of time if we really evaluated some personal things about ourselves before we just jumped out there. And I'm guilty of it, being very irrational sometimes and impulsive. Because you see stuff and you just want it right away, but you don't really understand that the content within that packaging that you're trying to consume might not be healthy for you at all. Like Surgeon General warnings on packs of cigarettes. Except sometimes, most times we're dealing with a human being, you don't get those. You're not going to get those nice little neatly typed out words. You got to read the room. You got to really have those conversations. So I don't know where dude is. I don't know if I was trying to figure out if is he the one who married her or did she end up marrying someone else. Whoever dude is that married her, I don't know if they still married because she just got sentenced. But whoever the dude was, I hope you got your stuff figured out, man. Because just because you ain't with her no more, that don't mean you ain't gonna run into her type again.
Facts.
If you've ever heard of familiar spirits,
yeah.
I know personally because I specifically ended up with the same type of woman every time. It wasn't the same body type and stuff like that. It was, but it was that spirit. It was that personality. You know what I'm saying? So be careful out here. It's okay to be by yourself for a little bit. Surround yourself with positive people. I even suggest you holler at my man right here. He'll get you right. He'll definitely trust me. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to put yourself in no more situations like this. Y'all could have lost your life that day. And I'm not even just talking about him specifically, but anybody where you have this type of dude who don't know himself, and you got this type of female who is, well, you saw that's not going to end well. Somebody going to get hurt.
Yo, look, what you think about opposites attract? Because you hear that a lot.
I think there's some truth to it. One person, like I'm introverted, extroverted. Now, if you're someone who's constantly, if you're extroverted, I don't mind it, but you got to know how and when to turn that off. The problem I have with it is, do you know where to draw the line, right? Because I'm not a person who like to party. I don't do clubs. I don't do none of that. That might be your thing. I'm a private person. You might not be a private person. So then that means there's conversations that got to have. Can y'all come to agreement? I think it really just depends on the person. If I'm going off of a TV show, Steve Urkel and Laura Winslow were complete opposites.
Right.
I don't even think she even liked them though, because it was like, how many seasons they had that show running? She didn't bother with him not one time until the end of all of it.
Stefan showed up, or whatever his name was.
Yeah. She liked Stefan. She didn't like Steve.
Right.
But then at the end of the whole show, that's when all of a sudden she had all these different experiences with all these different dudes. That right. Now all of a sudden she wants to be with him and all that. I find that happens way more often than not. You're not long. My simple answer, I do think it's possible. I don't know the success-failure ratio to it, but I do think it's possible.
Right. No, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Again, it just comes back to the communication piece, being able to, because a lot of people say that, opposites attract, and they'll throw that in your face like, well, that's the reason why we're together. Like, well, that might be true. But that don't mean we'll stay together because opposites attract. You know what I'm saying? That flexibility, adaptability, being able to learn and being able to navigate, like you said, turning it on and off, and being able to understand, when it's time to be whatever role it is that you're playing it. And it's just about, again, I say it a lot, roles and responsibilities, because everybody has a role, and then just knowing what your role is. And I think that's a lot of things that younger people don't necessarily understand. And I think people, as they get older, they start to understand, like you just said, not necessarily being a fan of going out, but some people may be able to go out and but they need to go home and recharge. And then just understanding that maybe that person don't want to go out all the time, just have some flexibility in a relationship. So yeah, just interested to hear your spiel on that, see what you thought about it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. You gotta be willing. Just more. Oh, I got a question for you, and this will fall into place. Who has to be? Is it one person has to be more into the other person for it to work, or should it just be equal across the board? Because that's another one that I've heard a lot too.
I don't think it's a way to tell if one person is into one versus the other. I think you may be into some things that person does. It might be something that they do that you really like. But then I think also in a relationship, if your objective is to make me happy and mine is to make you happy, and this is what I don't think a lot of people do, right? Is you have to be able to explain and have that hard question, because you can be in a relationship and all you know is from the previous relationship, or if you were never in a relationship, something that you learned, whether it was TV or whatever the case may be, music or whatever. But the key there is that you learned. So when you're with a new person in your relationship, you have to learn what they like. That can be sexual, conversational, chores around the house. Some people like to do dishes, some people don't. Some people just like, I'm not folding clothes. I'm just not doing it, which is fine. You have to have that conversation, and then that's that trade-off. So I think you can eventually grow to love each other equally, but you have to have that conversations of the likes and dislikes. And I think a lot of times where relationships fail is sexually, because one person might be more sexual than the other person, and that might be because of something they necessarily haven't shared. One person could have went through, some type of sexual trauma when they were a child and they never healed from it. The other person might be perceived to be over-sexualized because they were with somebody and that's how they showed their love, and they liked that. So they learned that they liked that when they were with another person. And then you now have another two people get together. And if you haven't talked about your past, because a lot of people say, I want to talk about the past. But if you don't talk about the past and you meet somebody, all you're going off of, say you're in your 40s and you're talking about shit from like 5 years and that's it. That might be part of the problem. It's like coming in watching a television series. They got 8 seasons, and you started at season 6, and you don't know the history. So you might not like that person as much because you don't know the history of that person. You don't know why that person, has likes or dislikes. The more you learn about that person, you learn the history of that person. Then you can learn to appreciate that person. Because that person might have things that they don't necessarily feel comfortable doing because of some issues in the past that they never talked to anybody about. Does that make sense? And so then you can develop, because that's what happens, man. Think about it. The summertime when you were a kid and somebody came over around your grandmother's house and you met somebody, hung out with them, and you jammed everything you could within that summer. And then you were waiting for the next summer to see that person again. You were building that relationship. You know what I mean? Go back to those questions. Well, who has the most questions tend to control the conversation and the relationship, because you're naturally inquisitive about that person. You're asking your likes, your dislikes, your favorite food. You're trying to figure those things out. And that's all you figure out. What about the rest, of the stuff, the past, and how they transform and developed into that human being that's in front of you that day? When people say we can grow together, but you're growing together from season 6 on. You're not getting a recap of 1 through 5. At the end of the season, when the next season starts, they give you a recap of the previous season. So that way you can be fresh and have that of what's going on in your mind as you start the new season. Does that make sense? So why are you not doing that in somebody's life? You don't have to do it. But I think about in totality, the seriousness of spending your time with another person for the rest of your life. If you go buy a used car, you're getting a Carfax. If you go get a used car, you're looking up Kelly Blue Book to see what's the value of this car. How many fucking car accidents have they been into? Who smoked in the car? Who's did all of this shit to this car before I go invest in it? Now you go meet another human being you plan on spending all day, all night, go on trips with, procreating and have a whole other human with, and you're not getting the Carfax on this person. So, like you said, not to go off on a tangent, but I think those things are important in order to build that relationship and to establish who's going to necessarily have more, put more into the relationship than the other person. I think if you both do diligence, and then that way you try to grow together, I think that's probably the best course of action to going about it. And I would hope that the other person is equally putting in the effort and has the same desirabilities to want to be in that relationship with me. Because if I have more than they do, then I'm gonna feel like they don't really want to be in the game. We can't really move forward if you're only giving 20% and I'm giving 80%. Now nobody's perfect. Everything's good in moderation. You don't have to be giving 100% all the time, because that's where the balance comes into play. But you have to communicate when you're going through those moments of not wanting to give 100%, and it can't be repetitive. Sorry, man, I got a little long-winded.
No, you good. I asked that because of the video itself. When you said it's kind of hard to tell if the person is, if there's like this weird scale where one person is here. I looked at that video and I said, yeah, there's definitely a scale.
Right. When she got, why are you driving and she didn't have a seatbelt on, right? So he might have said, put your seatbelt on, and she didn't do it. Fuck that, I ain't wearing no seatbelt. Red flag right there, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things in that video, you know what I mean, that you can dissect and you can kind of transform and say, hey, look, it looks like there's an issue. My man didn't even show any expression. He was just like, yo, he talked real calm. His lips barely moved. I don't know if that's because of the video, but he said it in a calm, monotone tone. This is my brand new car. You know what I'm saying? Like he was nervous. She like slapped the shit out of him if he raised his voice or something like that. So, I mean, tonality means a lot. So it's so many different things that you can take from that video. You know what I mean? And then we can decipher and talk about. But some of that stuff for another time.
Yeah, we got it all out there, man. Catch the replay just in case you pulled up late, man. That woman doing 14 because of her attitude, because of how she was brought up, because nobody corrected it. That man, if he ain't figured it out yet, he gonna still be dealing with that type of female moving forward in the future. It's not even just dealing with that type of woman, but he's gonna be struggling with a lot of other stuff too, because of how like, oh, it's just my new car. It's not a big deal. No, you know it's a big deal. You're really pissed off. I know you are, but you don't want to go there with her because you know how she is.
Just spank that ass, yeah. Yeah.
But all jokes aside, man, lives are involved here, man. then y'all can't be playing around with people like that. Get your houses in order before you start entering or bringing others around you, period. I concur with everything you said. And I'm glad we got to have this conversation this morning. Shout outs to Michelle Campbell. Shout out to Arcana. Yeah, man, these women be beating on their dudes. Don't get it twisted. There is some. Y'all think men don't get abused? All right. You must have missed the recap I did not too long ago. I'm just gonna say it real quick. I gotta find it. Slim was record. I don't know if she made him record. It was just set up like this, and she was literally slapping and punching the shit out of him, all in that man's face. He didn't do nothing. She was wailing on him, and I'm like, oh yeah. Don't tell me women don't abuse men. It does happen, but I digress. We got another one for y'all tonight. It's going to be a nice one. The whole crew going to be here. I even got somebody pulling up to join us. Hopefully this won't be their last time. Sydney got some backup tonight.
Okay.
So this is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. If y'all can, tap in with us later, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right?
Yeah, man. Let's get it.
Thank y'all for hanging out with us. We about to get up out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. I'm going back into the lab. Peace.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I hide, my ancestors speak. They tell me the tide isn't run on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep. Longing to sing until I surpass peak. Until they think we are equal, please. All I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their bones would bleed. Begging the generations remember our story.